Hey folks, it's Mandeep, and it's been a while since I've done an update. So here we go. So we'll do a quick market recap and take a look at where we are with the various indices and where are some of the opportunities as we sort of look ahead for the remainder of this week and going into next week as well. So the first thing we'll do is take a look at the SPX chart on the daily time frame. And one of the things that I talked about actually in earlier video was we're approaching a level where some caution is warranted. And again, as most of you know, I'm not in the business of predicting the market where it's going to go. I just end up reacting to the levels because I think it's really hard to, predict the market, right? So one of the things you see is this 2815 level has actually been a major resistance for quite some time. This actually was a high that was established in November, and this is the December 3rd high. And as you've noticed, that the market is having some issue getting past this level. Now, it's entirely possible that maybe the announcement of the US-China deal may be something that propels the market upward, or it's even feasible that news is already baked into the market. So we don't know for sure. Now, we also don't know for certain whether this is just a correction, which means it'll move the market sideways, or we just have a little bit of a drop, a shallow pullback, and then we resume the uptrend again. Now, this is the 9-day moving average. This is the 21-day moving average, and the pink and the cyan line are the 150 and the 200-day moving average. Now, as you can see, this is the first time in a while that we've actually closed below the 9-day moving average. So if this trend continues, the next possible support levels would come here close to 27 50ish or so. 2714 is the 61.8% retracement between the lows that were established in December and the high that was established sometime back in October, November. So these are the levels to watch. Now let's take a look at NDX, and on the NDX as well, we're above the 200-day average. We're also over the 150-day moving average, and the 61.8% retracement is actually close to 7,000. So I mean, if we do pull back, the chances are that we'll find some support close to this, but we'll see. As over the next couple of days, how the market actually reacts. And now let's take a look at IWM, and this is the small cap index, and this is the one that's actually a little bit of a cause for concern because this one broke not only the 150 200 day, it also broke the 9 and the 21 day. A lot of people who trade based on 9 and 21 day always say that if you break both of them, then it's time to get out of the way. So, and this also means risk is off, right? So whenever risk is on, people are investing into small cap and more riskier companies, and we'll see whether this is just temporary or we begin to see a sector rotation that's going to happen. So those are just a look at the indices real quick. Um, Today, if you look at the market, and we'll take a look at the overall quad, and this comes courtesy of shadowtrader.net. So if you see the breadth of the market was trending downwards, this is significant. It was at one point in time it was 7 to 1 negative. On the Nasdaq fared a little bit better. We come close 2.75 to 1 negative, and the market thrust is also negative, right? So we had there were 1,500 issues, 1,500 additional issues that were declining as well. So, and as you can see from the tick of the NYSE, the cumulative histogram showed all day, we actually trended in the negative direction. So there were only a handful of ticks, maybe three or four on a 15-minute interval that closed above the zero line. And from here you can see the market really trended downward for most part of the day, and even after hours, as you can see, this is the settlement price for the ES, the 500 mini futures, and we're still continuing to trend downwards. And so we'll see how the market opens up in the morning, but so far it looks like it's down by about 7 or 8 points on the uh, ES 500 futures. Now, the other thing worthwhile noticing was that we look at these day trading lists, right? So we have a day trading list that we use for long, and this one's a little bit longer term day trading list, more for intermediate to longer term. And the interesting thing is that we found only two stocks that were actually in this list today. The first one is Carvana, and the other one was Dollar Tree. So they did actually present over the last couple of days. They did present some decent long opportunities based on the ultimate trading signal. As you can see, we had a long triggered here close to 43, and then it closed at 48, and there was another long triggered here at 49.88, and it closed at 51.36. Dollar Tree was the other one that had a long triggered as well today. So this is a very decent entry. Um, this long entry occurred around 96.25, and the profit on this trade is 3.63, and this is still in play. So as you can see, this is the 9 and the 21 day, and this is the moving average adaptive, and it's trading above, and everything else is green, right? It's trading above the Ichimoku cloud on multiple time frames, likewise on the MACD, and the 9-day moving average is greater than 21 day on multiple time frames as well. Now, so clearly the first thing you can do is always look at the sector list, and as you notice that almost everything was red, semiconductors, the gold, the small cap biotech index, the large cap biotech index, metals, biotech again, and oil, and regional banks, and big banks, and almost everything was down. There was only a handful of things that were up. One was TLT, which is the bond, which also signifies that on a day like today, risk was off, right? So people were basically going after safe havens, right, such as the bonds, and so hopefully we'll see some action in gold if the market really continues in the downward direction. So one of the nice part about these dynamic lists is that on good trending days in the upward direction, you'll see multiple choices in the on the long side. But what we noticed today was a lot of choices that we had if we wanted to short the stock, and that's where I actually took some advantage. So Cigna as an example, and this one triggered a short on the ultimate trading signal, and this one is still in play. It gave a profit of $4.45. I was able to short it fairly early on, and I didn't wait all the way till the end, so I probably covered somewhere here. Um, and I mentioned about this also sort of in the Discord room, and it's the other stock that I took short was INGN, which is also part of the list as well. And this one had a fairly decent trade. It triggered a short around 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and it closed it pretty much on the last bar as well. So, so all of these were good entries on the short side, and we can take a look at a couple of them. This is New Skin, and again this is a short triggered at 7 o'clock, close to the last bar. Let's look at Grub. It has a short triggered here. So you can see a lot of these healthcare names were in play from a short entry perspective today. Um, WCG, this has actually also been on the short list for quite some time. Triggered a short pretty much on the first bar, and gave a nice profit here as well. So what you notice from this is So there were, obviously seemed like a shift in the market sentiment from sort of the long side to actually going on the short side when you see more and more names on the day trading short list. And this is again a dynamic list. When the market is in an upward trend, you'll see maybe a handful of names in this list, and majority of the names will show up on the long side. So the other couple other stocks that I actually like that I'm still long. One of them is Netflix, and Netflix was behaving fairly well through the day, even when the market was actually down. And I was long on. I took a long yesterday. I took some profits first, you know, first thing this morning, and then I re-entered this trade again. So I'm still long this trade. I'm also long Facebook, and I'm a little bit negative on the trade because I bought it. My timing was a little ill-timed actually. I'm still in the trade, down about 75 cents on that trade. I'm also long Microsoft, and these are April calls, and I have a little bit of time on these. So we'll see how these end up faring. So just to sort of recap, I think there is some immediate resistance that you can see on the SPX as well. On the idea, IWM is also breaking down a tad. So I think it's time to be a little bit cautious. Stay light, and if you want to take long, then be selective, and just size up your positions appropriately. And so hopefully I'll do more recaps and more frequently going forward as well. Thank you guys.